welcoming to the stage our next featured speaker, the President and Chief Operating Officer of SpaceX, Ms. Gwynne Shotwell.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here today, and I'm especially pleased to be here talking. The Space Foundation has invited women leaders in the industry to address the audience, so I'm pleased on both counts. And hopefully it's not going to shock you. I'm going to talk about two things. The first thing is reusability. We had a historic launch last week, actually a relaunch last week, of a rocket that served a purpose last year to deliver a cargo Dragon capsule to orbit. We landed it, refurbished it, and reflew it last week for the SES-10 mission. Really excited about it. It was historic. Yeah, and you know, I have to thank the 6,000 men and women at SpaceX and all our partners that made that happen. I think it ushers in a new era for all of us. Lots more enterprise in space, lots more interesting things to do. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of the thinking that's gone on with respect to reusability. Arthur C. Clarke had an incredible quote, which someone sent me last week after that launch. Every revolutionary idea seems to evoke 3 stages of reaction. It's completely impossible. We've heard that for 15 years. It's possible but not worth doing. We're still hearing that a little bit, but we're also starting to hear, I said it was a good idea all along. And I thought that that particular quote from Sir Clarke was really fascinating and very appropriate. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the journey that we've had with respect to reusability. First, I want to talk about why in the world would we do this? It's taken us 15 years of SpaceX being in business, launching rockets to get this right. It's a lot of work, but the only way we're going to be exploring the solar system and being able to return, going to other planets and being able to return, is if these systems are reusable. Otherwise, they're one-way trips. Or they're one-way trips for the decades while the civilization on Mars learns how to build rockets from scratch there. So, which, you know, and if you go to Mars and you don't like it, it would be great if you could come back right away, not decades later after you learn how to build a rocket there. So that's key. But for our nominal customers that were taking their precious payloads into space, the rocket is far more robust when it knows how to come back and can survive the re-entry and the landing and the reflying. So from a reliability perspective, it's also enormously helpful for the industry. We get the mission, we get the hardware back, we get to inspect it, we get to upgrade it based on anything we see. So it's really a tremendous capability, and I highly recommend it for all of you. So I'm going to show you a video of our first attempt of landing a rocket. I love that video. People are surprised that I show it. Actually, can we do it? Is there any way to show that one more time? In case anyone missed that? There we go. Rocket crashing into the drogue ship. Take 2. So the reason why I love that video is because that's the first time that we were able to bring a rocket back, and we hit the target. We didn't land on the target, but we hit it. And I was in the control center, and the engineers looked kind of horrified when we finally got that video back. And I was jumping up and down and cheering. We hit the target. You know, it's this little bitty postage stamp size boat in the middle of the ocean, and we hit it on the first go. I was extremely pleased with that, which made the engineers in the room feel much better as well. So now I'm going to show you as if you were on the rocket and landing on a drone ship. It's sped up a little bit. This is the vehicle flying back, re-entering. And landing, which was great. That was not the first time we landed on a drone ship. Oh, yay, go rocket. to show you the video of the historic launch that we had last week. It starts out with its initial mission, goes on to its follow-on mission.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Tickets to Mars. It's on a different subject. As a female leader in the industry, I wanted to point out, I said 2 quotes. The first one was from Sir Arthur C. Clarke, and the second one is from Bella Abzug, who, for those of you that don't know, was a member of the House of Representatives a few decades ago. An incredible woman, a leader, an activist, a vocal voice for the downtrodden and the underrepresented. And this is one of my favorite quotes. I don't use my Facebook page, I have one, but this is the quote on my Facebook page. Our struggle today is not to have a female Einstein get appointed as an assistant professor. It's for a woman Schlemiel to get as quickly promoted as a male Schlemiel. So I just want you to think about female leaders, wonderful, we're making great progress, but that's not the end game, right? I drove here, well, I didn't drive here, I had a cab driver take me from the airport last night, African-American woman, raising 6 kids as a single mom. And she said, the only way women make it in this world is if they're 200 times better than men. So I just want you to think about that. Thanks very much. I'll take some questions.
Thank you so much, Gwen.
Okay.
Exciting times indeed for SpaceX. I think we're all really excited, and if you have any questions, please text them up here to the number. We have a couple here, so we have a couple minutes and we can ask some questions. So first question for you. What have you learned from the shuttle program's challenges with reusability that you are applying to your own efforts?
Well, I think we learned that it was really hard, right? Another thing is refurbishing after you put stuff in the ocean is hard. We're going to do that with a Dragon capsule upcoming year. So we definitely wanted to avoid putting the asset in the water before we refly. Minimal refurbishment on the engines, for sure, is another lesson that we've learned. And so looking forward, reusability, we don't believe it really counts unless you can turn it around as rapidly or almost as rapidly as you turn around an aircraft. Basically you land the system, you land the stage, you do some brief but important critical checks and inspections, you refuel and you re-go. So our challenge right now is to refly a rocket within 24 hours. So that's when we'll really feel like we got the reusability piece right.
Awesome, thank you. All right, next question we have, kind of on the refurbishment. How much was spent on refurbishment for the latest flight compared to the cost of a new first stage?
Actually, that's a good question. So I think, I'm not going to get this right, so I'm going to do a follow-up on that. It was substantially less than half of the rebuild, or of the build, for sure.
Okay.
And we did way more on this one than we're doing on future ones, of course. Hopefully, the time spent on that rocket in the near term, not the long term, as I said, in the long term it's less than 24 hours, will be on the order of the work, the labor.
Awesome. Well, they're coming still. So, why are rockets used to land the reusable sections and not parachutes?
Okay, so these rockets come back really fast, and the parachutes, when you deploy them, they rip off. We've tried that before.
Makes sense. Okay.
Just doesn't work.
Okay, so why didn't NASA build a reusable rocket like the one SpaceX did? Why did it take a private company? I don't know if that's your question to answer.
So what's the question? Why?
So I think they're asking, why didn't NASA decide to build a reusable rocket? Maybe we have some of those folks still here. Why did it take a private space company to build a reusable rocket?
So I think if you went back to Sir Arthur C. Clarke's quote, the second one was, there's no point in doing it. And I'm not saying that's why NASA chose the path that they chose. And by the way, the shuttle was reusable, right? They brought it back, and refurbished and reflew, so they did actually do it. But it has to work for your particular business. I think the other launch providers, or most of the other launch providers, certainly the ones that are flying now, think that it's not, that for their particular technology, it doesn't work for them. I think you'll see that position changing, but it worked for us. It was the right model for us, and we had been working on the technologies to get there.
Great, thank you. Okay, next one. How do you see the role of SpaceX on the journey to Mars in relation to NASA's SLS?
So I actually don't know about SLS's plans as far as taking humans to space. We're really focused on our program, but we do plan to take initially a large amount of cargo and then crew to Mars. And we want to do that when we do that, we would have the ability to bring them back. So it's a big challenge, but we haven't been afraid to take those on in the past. And I think it's really important for us to be living on more than one planet.
Agreed.
Ultimate risk management for humans.
All right. Next question. Can you please speak of the fairing recovery after the last flight?
So I guess Elon did a little bit of a teaser in his press conference after the mission, but we are planning on recovering the fairings. They're actually quite expensive, not as expensive as the first stage, but quite expensive. And we did recover at least one first fairing half. I'm not sure if we got the second one back or not. And it looked pretty good, and you'll see more fairing recoveries as we go this year.
Okay, great. All right. What do you think needs to change for women to have a greater presence in the space industry?
So I think doing great work is the greatest way to get recognized, and it doesn't matter whether you're male or female or minority. Do great work, and I mean, it's not search for recognition. I've never searched for recognition. I think people generally get recognized for the great work that they do. I think it's really important to be inclusive and to go beyond what your normal scope is. Reach out, help people, even if it's beyond your scope. But we do have to get past this, brilliant people getting promoted. We want average women to get promoted, as do average men.
Awesome. All right, we have time for maybe 2 more questions. Let me see if we got a couple different ones. Okay. Given that SpaceX is not being able to employ non-U.S. nationals, given that that is a State Department constraint, is there any way in which the international community can work with SpaceX through cooperation agreements?
So There are ways to work cooperatively in the space industry. NASA does it all the time, actually. It's quite a laborious paperwork process, but we have been successful in working with international folks as well as international organizations. It's a lot of paperwork. But, you know, if we're talking about taking a journey to Mars, taking people to Mars, there's lots of work that needs to get done, not even necessarily related to the rocket.